name is ANGK with the Diva Wellness Network. I am here with the amazing Stormy Grace. Stormy Grace. Hey, Stormy, please say hello to the people.
Hello, everyone. I'm hoping you guys are good tonight.
Awesome. So for those of you who are tuning in, we're going to wait for a few people. The people are already starting to hop in here. I'm looking at the count go up. So for those of you who are new to this particular type of broadcast, my name is Angie K. I'm also known as the Queen of Wellness. And my job is to make sure entrepreneurs and busy professionals get their health and wellness in check so that they're no longer ditching their health for the hustle and they're actually putting their wellness at the forefront. Tonight, we are going to give you the down and dirty on astrology and how you can use it to benefit every area of your life. And if you haven't already yet, you should be getting an email from me that has an amazing guide attached to it, telling you exactly what to eat for each sign and what to avoid. But that's not all you're going to get tonight. We are getting ready to dive right in with Stormy Grace, and we are going to look at just everything about astrology. All too often people think that astrology is all about taboo, or we only turn to it when we're looking for relationships or money answers. Astrology is so much more than that, and astrology actually lends to sustainable wellness. That is why I actually sought out Stormy Grace so I could have her here tonight. I'm so stoked. Stormy?
I'm so excited to be here. It's fun when those interactions happen and we come together for we think one reason and then it gets bigger and better.
Yes, yes, yes. And so for those of you who have already begun to join us, if you look above our heads, you'll see the share buttons. There's share buttons for Facebook. There's share button for Twitter. Go ahead and click that share button above our heads and share this out so that more people will get the link and hop in here and join us for this amazing discussion tonight. We are going to get into some stuff that you guys, I know, have been wondering about. We're going to go through some basics of astrology, and then we're going to move all the way into the types of foods and the different things you need to eat to make sure you make your sign sing, right? So that you're not stuck eating crap, and the next time you go shopping, you know exactly what to put in your cart based on your sign, because it does work. So Stormy, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I want you to tell the people how long you've been doing astrology. What made you actually get into astrology anyway?
Oh my goodness. So I have always had an interest in astrology. And when I was younger, having more of a metaphysical sense of kind of being able to sense spirit and things like that, it kind of naturally put me in that position to be interested in something in metaphysics. My mom she's not as into it as I am, but she's better with herbs. So not everybody who's in the metaphysical community is good with everything or is called to everything. And for me, it was astrology, and I don't think I ever really studied it. I just was always called to it, you know what I mean? And I didn't really follow that. I just kept it as an interest, and I kept it as this thing in the back of my head that I definitely thought was valid. And then when I got older and I did life and I did all of these things, and in the last couple of years, I had a beautiful job that I loved and thought I would never leave ever, and woke up and was like, oh my God, I'm going to do astrology. I'm going to be an astrologer. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then I started my YouTube channel very quietly, just a couple little videos. And from there, you know, when you step into the flow of what you're supposed to be doing, it really just carries you. And from there, I've been able to grow, meet my other mentors, and just start giving this gift away. And every time I look at a chart, it just sings to me. It just sings about what's going on with the soul of that person, so we can look through it and get them on a better path, get them more into a spiritual alignment. Because I always teach that astrology is about helping you get into spiritual alignment. Once you straighten out spiritually, everything else starts to fall around you, where you're like, okay, I see the order it needs to be in. You know, for me, astrology is an absolute teaching that is about faith. It's about widening your faith, deepening your faith, and getting you more in that spiritually aligned flow. That's all deep.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And that's one of the reasons I actually got into astrology. For me, I knew towards the end of last year, I knew that this year was going to be a highly spiritual year for me. I knew two things: that I was going to continue to try to run my business and I was going to move into it full time. And I knew that it was going to be a spiritual journey, and I didn't want it to be the typical entrepreneur's journey. I wanted to lead with my soul. I didn't want to try to hustle it and do what everybody else was doing, because I didn't feel called to run my business that way. And so I began to turn to astrology for answers, for different things, for guidance, and it changed my life. And I really knew that at some point it had some connection to wellness beyond the spiritual piece, and it does. So I am so grateful to have you and people like you available in this world to give us this amazing information. So tell us a little bit about what you think the difference is between spirituality and religion.
Well, I think that spirituality is just, I think it's so much bigger. And this is not to at all speak out against any religion out there, because I do believe that what religion intends to create is community and is a place for people who are of a like-mindedness to come into contact with ultimately that thing that everybody's trying to come into contact with, and that's unconditional love, peace, service, those kinds of things. You know what I mean? Peace of mind, calm, steady heart, things like that. But with spirituality, the thing that I find, and I was raised Catholic and I still raise my children Catholic, but with the spirituality edge, is that spirituality is willing to understand that God, or the God-like thing, is far more expansive than any human mind can ever conceive of or put a box around. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the big distinctions I make in it, because when I work with people all over the world, what never holds us back is spirituality. We can talk about whatever because we're talking about the exact same principles. Religions to me just tend to look like the path that a person can understand to get them in contact with whatever that spiritual connection is. You know, for some people, if they're Jewish, they have a certain set of rituals that give them that fulfillment and get them closer to that divine spirit. Catholics have a thing. And I think it's all roads lead to spirituality ultimately. But spirituality tends to be a lot less afraid to call it one thing or the other, because I don't think that it cares.
Yes, I completely agree. I completely agree. And I think that sometimes people form opinions about the different tools that can help boost their spiritual journey or actually help complete their spiritual journey, because they don't understand how spirituality fits into their religious life. And so I think one of the things that we've got to understand is that they both can coexist, and by all means they both need to coexist in order for us to be whole. So I'm so glad that you brought that point across for us. The next thing I want to ask though is, I know when we're talking about astrology, a lot of people look at their zodiac or their sun sign. But I also know that there's a sun, a moon, and an ascendant sign. And I was so confused when I finally saw this. And I'm like, wait, am I Cancer? Like, am I Cancer? Am I? So I finally understand now what my sun is, what my moon is, and what my ascendant is, or what my rising sign is. Can you go ahead and elaborate on those for the people that are listening, why they should be looking at these different signs and what the difference is between these things?
Absolutely. And I think too, you know, for a long time, I do want to say this. If all you've ever looked at is your sun sign, you are still able to get a fairly hefty amount of knowledge and information and apply it to your life and use that, you know. So I want to say that it's not wrong if that's all you've ever known about, but the picture is so much bigger. You know, the sun sign is like who we are at the core, right? Like, these are the life lessons I came with. These are the tendencies I have. These are the struggles I'm going to have. And it just is what it is. I'm a Taurus. body issues and money and issues of my personal value are things that I will always struggle with. They're always things that I will be built to outgrow and to grow into more spiritual alignment in this line. And every single one of the 12 zodiac sign has their own things that they're growing into. So that's a really phenomenal place to kind of understand that. And then if you know that, you can know other things about what your sun sign temperament is going to be as well. But that's who I am at the core. I mean, you have to get to know me for a hot minute before you're really going to see my Taurus come out. Besides, you know, all the glitter. Like, I do believe in glitter. But in the next sign, though, the sign that you're going to meet me with first, that you're going to be like, oh, this is how people will judge me, right? The outside cover, that's my rising sign, or that's your rising sign. And that is that place. It's like the mask that we wear. It's how people perceive us. It's the area that rules our bodies because it's the first house in our chart. So for me, my rising sign is a Virgo. So one of the first things people always say when they meet me or when they see me or they kind of are around me but haven't really talked to me, oh my gosh, she is so well put together. She has got it in order, because Virgos are meticulous. They got it together. Like, they don't have hairs out of place. They don't do asymmetrical anything, right? Like, it is like this. And it's funny because people think that all the time because that's the mask that they meet of me. They all will also think sometimes, oh, she's probably really quiet or probably really elegant and we shouldn't talk to her. I get that all the time. And that's just because that's the mask they're meeting. Because then as soon as they talk to me, they see that it's different. Now, when they really spend some time with me, they get to see my moon sign, and my moon sign and your moon sign, that governs our emotions, right? So when somebody says something, something happens, I'm going through something, what's my first emotional process gonna be? Well, mine is in Libra. So I'm very balanced, right? Like, I want the scales, I want justice to happen. I'm like, well, yes, maybe it could be this, but what if over here it could be this? I really need to have a very ready, steady, emotional nature. And half the time, if you're talking to me, you can see it because I'll be like, yeah, la, 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 la. Oh. And then there I am. You know what I mean? Like, I love people with Libra moons because there they go all the time. So the reason I think that is further important for people to really understand is because when we look at the core of the person, we look at how you're doing things and what you're radiating out of your life, that really comes from the core, is the way that I teach astrology. So if you're out of whack with your sun sign lessons, right, or you're out of whack with your spiritual core, then what you're going to do is you're going to let your moon sign, you're going to give it permission to act as emotionally as a moon sign does. And it will not be the great parts of your moon sign. It will be out of whack. You will act out of fear. You will act out of defensiveness, right? And then what are you going to do if your emotions are all crazy? You can't hold a high vibration there. You're going to give permission to your rising sign to create in the outside world and to manifest chaos and confusion and things that you don't really want to be participating in. So I always, in astrology, we actually study that you study your ascendant first. And I actually teach it sun sign, moon sign, ascendant. So it just widens the picture. It just completely widens it.
And that's awesome because I know a lot of people in some cases they'll say, well, that doesn't resonate with me, or that I'm a Leo, but that doesn't sound like me, or this, and I want them to understand that, and a lot of times, and then they say, well, I'm not into astrology because it never resonates with me. But what they're not understanding is that they're not actually looking at the sign that governs their shadow. They're looking at this is my birthday. This is the category I fall into. So this is who it says I'm supposed to be. And this doesn't sound like me at all. So they might say, they might sound like a Leo, but they live like a Capricorn, and that may very well be your ascendant sign. So it doesn't mean this is not for you. It just means that in your birth chart, you need to know which are based on sun. Typically, like your ascendant sign that governs all the body sees. So it's so important for you to know all three. Now we are here rocking it out. We just got a bunch more people just popped in here with us. So I'm gonna say, hey y'all, if you're just now joining us and you're just now it's your first time being on a live broadcast with me, I'm Angie K. I'm Queen of Wellness, and tonight we are rocking it out with Stormy Grace, the astrologer, YouTube sensation astrologer, Stormy Grace. So many people know her. She has one heck of a following on YouTube. If you did not know, she has an amazing following on YouTube, and definitely worth the following. She is an immense amount of knowledge, and she knows how to communicate that knowledge very, very well so that everyone can actually understand the information. That's one of the reasons I was so drawn to you in your reading, Stormy Grace. If it's your first time on this broadcast or you just jumped in here, make sure you go to the Stormy Grace Facebook fan page and drop your questions there, because we are going to start getting into some questions here in just a moment. If you're having issues with your screen, be sure to click the refresh button up in the corner of your computer and you'll pop right back in here live with us. Yet also, don't keep this amazing information to yourself. We are all about sharing and bringing you the best, right? So make sure you hit the share buttons above our heads for Facebook, for Twitter, and for everywhere else. Share this out, and your friends will get the same email and amazing guide that you got to jump in here with us. So let's get back into it. We just covered the sun, the moon, and the ascendant sign, right?
Yep.
To go drop your questions on Facebook. Okay, because we're going to be scrolling here in just a moment. Make sure you drop them on the Stormy Grace Facebook fan page. Like it, subscribe, and go ahead and start dropping your questions there, because we're going to start looking for amazing questions from you guys. So now we've talked about a little bit about the difference between the sun, moon, and rising or ascendant sign. Now, I know I'm not the only one on here who is familiar with people and those cards. Like, let me read the cards for you. I know I'm not the only one, right? If you have done anything that has to do with horoscopes, you will almost always and definitely get a taroscope to come up. Now, if you're not familiar with tarots or taroscopes and things like that, I'll tell you the difference between the two. So, Stormy, go ahead and tell us the difference between astrology and tarot, or a horoscope and a taroscope, because I know some people will start to say, well, why is this person reading cards and they're reading cards for Cancer? Or why is this person reading cards and they're reading cards for Sagittarius? And why is this person reading these cards? Why don't they just give me my horoscope? Why are they needing these cards? And some people read shells, some people read runes, some people read, basic cards that you play spades with, so there's so many different ways that people read the cards for people, and all of it actually can be beneficial. It depends on what you're open to and what you're in alignment with, but I want you to know that there's so many different tools for you. So Stormy, tell us a little bit about, I was actually always taught that astrology and astronomy run hand in hand. I have one without the other. They all teach the stars and what was going on when you were born, okay? So, but tell us the difference between the taroscopes and the horoscopes.
Okay, so first let me tell you, because I think that's important to understanding the difference between the astrology and the taroscopes, is to understand that, yes, astrology and astronomy are friends. We can have astrology without astronomy. If we didn't know the bodies that were out there, we would have nothing to read. We wouldn't know where they are. We wouldn't know their distance from, in astrology, we're Earth-centric, so we believe that the world revolves around us. Imagine that, what a human concept. So we wouldn't know how far those planets are away to help us decide how they govern us and read them. So astrology and astronomy are friends, very much so. Some people think there's a division, and some people create a division, and there really doesn't need to be. They need each other. Now, the difference between the taroscopes and the horoscopes are that in astrology, we are governed by a set of rules, and the rules lie within the planetary energies that we're looking at, and the asteroids and the moon cycles and things like that. So we're governed by a set of nuances and orbits and movements that are already happening. Now, when it comes to listen to a tarot scope, a lot of times, in my experience, a tarot scope person may have some astrology knowledge, but they don't necessarily need it. They usually have some of their clairs going, whether they're clairaudient, clairsentient, any of those kinds of things, and they have some kind of channeling. And much like astrology, though, for me as an astrologer, a tarot card reader can look at whatever it is in front of them, and it comes to life. It's like it breathes the information out there. So really, when you're looking at it, the only difference, I think, in terms of how it may or may not benefit you is how you learn. Which one feels right for you? For me, I can pick up a deck of tarot cards, lay those bad boys and read them in a heartbeat, and I would never do them on YouTube. It is not what resonates with me. I am an astrologer, and that's the way that works for me at this point in the game. But for other people, it's just astrology is just an assistant. So I think it depends upon, what you can hear. Now, the other thing about it, too, is that astrology kind of has a lineage and a chronologic time frame that you can follow, and we can trace it. Tarot really doesn't. We don't know where it came from exactly. We have some roundabout ideas, but we don't know exactly when it started. We don't know when some of the things shifted until it gets a little bit later into the time. And I think when I look at tarot, I just think it is just brilliant, magic, mystical information that comes through because they're natural, intuitive channelers and hearers. You know what I mean? So I think it's really an awesome thing to get to experience either one of them, but then you just get to choose which one's right for you. Maybe you need them both. You need a lot of help. Get them both.
And a lot of people dabble into both of them. One of the things that I can honestly say from experience, because I've looked into tarot scopes and I've looked into horoscopes. Horoscopes tend to, I think, resonate with me a lot more. I feel like the tarot scopes sometimes it's I guess horoscopes could be that too, but tarot scopes, I feel like it hinges, like you said, on the level of their intuition. And a lot of things can happen when you're talking about trying to get messages from spirit, trying to get, it's almost like channeling or something like that, or it teeter-totters on grabbing the information from another realm or whatever, which I'm okay with, but people interfere with trying to get that message out. So, and I think that when you're reading the stars for someone, I think it's very, very almost concrete, a little bit more concrete. Like, this is what's in the stars. This is what's here. So we do have a question, and I'm going to go ahead and ask that really quick.
Can I answer?
Okay.
Well, I just want to say
that. The question said,
oh, go ahead.
How?
Okay, I was going to say that one thing to keep in mind is that depending on the astrologer you see, your astrologer may be a channeler or not as well. When I look at a chart, I can channel right away and then read the stars, and it does help put the formation on it. I mean, I look into people's energy right as soon as I hear their voice immediately. So it just depends on the kind of astrologer you sit with as well. So that's all.
Very, very good to know. And I'm glad you said that, because I think it may have been you, or another person that was like, okay, I'm going to start doing channeling with my readings as well. And you can tell it was just like, right. She just went right into it. So you could tell it was a natural, intuitive thing for her. Almost difficult to separate the two, depending on how you look at it. But so awesome that we have this. So the question that we have out on Facebook is, find out what our other signs are.
Oh, very easily, very easily. You just need to get a chart done. And what's cool about the world today is that you can go to almost any free astrology site. You can definitely jump over to stormygrace.com. I've got a tab that says free goodies. You can go in there and get the chart worked up or pulled up, and you can look, you can see where all of your planetary placements are at. In fact, mine is detailed enough, and so are a couple other, that you can also see where your asteroids are at and things like that. And what you would need to do that is you need your day of birth, your time of birth. If you don't know your time of birth, you can use noon. You need the place of your birth. And that's it. And then you get it and you can find out. And the time, I want to be specific, like anybody born on May 4th is going to be a Taurus. They will all have the same sun sign. Your rising sign changes with the time of your birth. And things in astrology move timing wise about every 4 minutes. So, I mean, if you're like, oh, well, I don't know, I think I was born at 1, but it might have been 1:35. Is that a big deal? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Just so you know.
Big deal. Big deal, just so you know. So if you can get a hold of your birth certificate, which most people should have, it's very rare not to have your birth certificate, but try to get hold of your birth certificate and get that time, because it definitely will give you so much information. Head to stormygrace.com after this and make sure that you go to those free goodies and go ahead and get your chart. So if you guys go ahead and pop some more questions in the Facebook group. On the Facebook page. We are going to grab your questions from the Stormy Grace Facebook fan page. So any questions you have about astrology tonight is the night to get those answered. If you've never been using astrology in your life, we're getting ready to go over some amazing benefits of astrology and using it on a daily basis to help guide your life, lessen your risk, be open to the flow. So Stormy, tell us a few of the benefits of actually using astrology in everyday life.
Well, I think one of them, we kind of touched on it a little bit, I think, when we were talking about religion and spirituality, because I think that for whoever can hear it and whoever is called to it, astrology can be that pathway that does have a set of rules and circumstances that you need to follow if you're going to have, a more positive life. But it can be that pathway to that divine energy, that, you know what I mean? That opening that I think other people try and find in religion and things like that. So one of the benefits is it gives you an opportunity to get spiritually connected, have a spiritual awakening, enjoy your spiritual experiences, be spiritually fit so that you can stay in spiritual alignment and enjoy your life. You don't have to suffer through it, And that's the biggest one I would offer to anybody, is that it may be a pathway you can hear. Now, the other things about it are, of course, when we just are looking at a chart and I'm looking at your different placements, I'm like, okay, we can help mitigate the risk of you having to do some of the drama that you're set up to do, right? We can also mitigate the risk of you thinking you need to do your whole life by yourself. I can tell you right now from your chart, your inclination is to be a loner, and this is what will help here. It can help. Let me tell you, I don't know how many times I've sat in front of a person. I have no idea. I've just met them. And I say, do you need a safe place to talk about some things from your childhood? And it is an awakening, and it is a healing, and it is a freeing that comes from understanding the chart and understanding that, you know what, the universe doesn't hate you. You didn't get a crap deck in life or anything like that. It is what it is. You're here to do soul level lessons, and there's helpers out there to help you make sense of that, right? So I think that those are some of the most phenomenal gifts of astrology. They help put things into context. It's like when you're sick, and I'm like, I'm sick. Whenever I get sick, I'm dying always. It doesn't matter what it is. And then the doctor's like, the doctor says, actually, you just have a cold. And I'm like, oh, okay. I know what to do for a cold. I know what to call it. I know how to move with it, right? When I tell you that, you have your descendant in Scorpio, and that is likely why you need to go home and decompress most of the time, you can understand that it's not that you're depressed. Maybe you're just not feeding one of your signs. Oh, that's a way different place, right? That's different than, yes, you definitely need 75 Xanax to start your day. Oh, maybe I need a lot more time in the sunshine because I don't do that enough. So it just provides some really beautiful understanding of placements and gives them names and gives them the power that they need and takes away the power that they don't need to have influence on our lives, I think. Plus, it's fun. Hell, it's fun.
Yes, and I'm all about fun.
Okay.
I'm all about fun. So yeah, so definitely, if you are not already using astrology, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make sure that you get to Stormy Grace's YouTube channel and you look at least and look at your reading for the month of July or the month of August. I think she may have some August up already. I'm not sure. But definitely look at yours for the month of July, and just see if it resonates with you. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't resonate with you, be sure to go to stormygrace.com and pull your chart so that you see what your ascendant sign is, and then go look at one of the two are going to be spot on for things that are happening in your life right now and ways that you can lessen the risk going forward in your life. A lot of us are having these, it's a time where a lot of people are kind of at a crossroads and we've got some heavy decisions to make. And that can be very, very difficult, especially if you feel like you don't have someone you can talk to about it, right? Now, the reason I'm bringing this all up is because these things have to do with your wellness, your ability to make concrete, sound decisions and be able to stand by those decisions psychologically and move forward in your life in a place that feels blissful, a place that feels joyful, a place that feels happy. This is a big part of your sustainable wellness. And anything that you can do to help get you to that place, move you closer to sustainability, is what I want to bring to you. So we are going through some amazing things about astrology because it has done quite a bit for me to help me lessen my risk. It really is the reason I walked away from my job back in January. It is the reason I went full time into what I'm doing now. And it is the reason why I've been guided to do so many different things up until this point, where I know for sure why I'm on this planet and what I am supposed to be doing. And that to me is so blissful. Now, one of the things that you mentioned, Stormy, was that it helps lessen the risk. And you also said that, people might think, well, I just kind of got dealt a bad hand, and things like that. Say to people that there are no coincidences in life, no mishaps and no mistakes.
No.
Whatever you've had happen to you, whatever you've had, like it's even going on now, don't ever think that there's some coincidence. Get the things that you need that will help guide you and help you understand what's really going on, okay?
Absolutely. The human mind can trap us into thinking it is this way, it's always going to be this way. I did this, I created this, it'll never be different. But when you're looking at a chart and a person tells you, oh yeah, no, really, truly, you're supposed to have a little bit of opposition here because you need to grow, but here's the way out. That's a different set of eyes on your life that give you hope. And hope to me, when I teach it, means hearing other people's experience. Sometimes you just need to know it's not going to suck forever and that it's okay. It happens to the best of us, and those are I'm not talking about I hate my jobs, which that's equally important, but I'm talking about years and years of traumatic abuse and how do I make my way out of that and what does this mean? And being able to use astrology to go in and go to the depths of hell with someone and help them come back out and then have them give that message of hope to another person and share their life. Man, I think that's what we're supposed to be doing here. So it's really a beautiful thing that gets to happen when we can really put this to good use, I think. So I'm a fan.
I'm a fan for life, right? Yeah. And so we're going to do some shout outs to some of the people who are out on Facebook that are listening. So we're going to do a shout out to Michelle Cannon. Thank you, Michelle, for rocking it out with us tonight. Now, obviously, I can't see everybody. There's quite a few of you on here, and I would love for you guys to go ahead and either ask a question or let's do a flash mob where you jump into the Facebook, on the Facebook post, Stormy Grace fan page on Facebook and you say, hey, y'all, I'm listening to you guys. I'm tuning in tonight and I'm getting my astrology fix, right? And just in just a moment, we're going to get into the types of foods based on the type of signs, right? So I want you guys to head to Facebook right now to the Stormy Grace Facebook fan page and either drop a question there, or I want you to type hashtag where's the food, okay? Hashtag where's the food to this wellness and what you need to eat to make your sign sing and what you need to do this to at the store that will be good for you. Your sign. Get ready to so you guys head out there and put the flash mob up there, right? And if you haven't already yet, hit the share button above our head. Don't keep this amazing information to yourself. Make sure you share this out and get more people in, because the more the merrier, right? And they'll get the amazing guide that you have as well. And we're going to go through that in just a moment. So shout out to Michelle Cannon and shout out to Dina.
Yeah, Michelle, what's up, y'all?
Yeah, Fanella. Is it Fanella or Fanella? I think it's Fanella. All right. So thanks you ladies for being a part of this. And thanks to everyone that's here watching, even if you haven't posted on the Stormy Grace Facebook fan page. I see you here on the live stream. Thank you so much for rocking it out with us tonight. Now, Stormy, let's talk about something that I kind of love to talk about in astrology, right? No, not relationships, not sex, y'all. I know y'all was probably waiting on that, but tonight we're going to save that for another broadcast, right? Although Stormy can dish it with the best of them, right?
I'm telling you what, that's like one of my favorite areas to talk about. So another broadcast, we will get at that.
Right. That's one of my favorite things too, right? So we might have to do another one on sexuality and just come back, relationships and romance, and just for that, right?
I'm
Steve broadcast. Oh, I bet that one would be full of questions.
Okay, and I'll be wearing my little satin robe, I promise.
Yes, ma'am. All right. And so one of the things that I want to discuss here are the cardinal signs. Because I know that there are signs that rule, there are 4 signs that rule in astrology. And sometimes when we come into contact with these types of people, we don't understand that it's not that they're being overbearing, but something about them naturally lead from the front. And so it's not that they're always being charged. They're just not going to let their ship sink on anybody's watch. So let's talk a little bit about the cardinal signs. Talk a little bit about the cardinal signs and then.
Okay, so when we're talking about, in general, just so we can give this a little bit of framing, when we're talking about the cardinal signs, fixed signs, mutable, these are their modes or their quality. So this is how they're going to behave, their mode of behavior, basically, okay? And with our cardinal signs, they're our most assertive signs, right? But assertive, not always in terms of like being super aggressive, but what they are built to do in a seasonal standpoint is they have high interest in initiating change, right? Like they want to start new things. Now, these are not the people who are going to hold it down for the whole thing. These are the people who start the cake batter and leave the batter on the counter. Okay, you're not going to have a cake if you just leave it with the cardinal signs. But they do easily begin new things and respond well to new ideas to be able to implement them. And they are self-starters. I'm telling you what, if you know a cardinal sign, crisis motivates these people, right? Like they like that. That's a go. That's like, yes, I'm about to succeed, right? So they achieve their control by kind of remaining one step ahead of everybody else. And just depending on which cardinal sign they are, their mode will be a little bit different. If we're talking about Aries, Aries seeks leadership and control in that kind of way. They want to kind of run the show. They're going to take us forward, but there are warriors. Of course, they want to win, right? Then we have Cancer. Cancer is going to control those emotions. They're going to control the home. They are going to govern the family. And they like to govern situations, right? Really kind of get those straight, narrow, navigated, and let's get going, let's get moving. Now, when you have Libra, now remember, I want to say this really quickly. The cardinal signs although they are all cardinal, they do act differently. Okay, they really do. They have a different feel about them. Because then when you come to Libra, you'll be like, that's a cardinal sign for real? Yeah, they are. They want to control partnership. They're going to start partnerships, right? They're in love every 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they like that kind of thing. And they like that kind of crisis of, oh, there's something wrong in my partnership. That's okay. I'm going to make my way through it. So it's really interesting to watch the way that they move. But I think the thing to know about cardinal signs is that there is always something happening with them. And it's usually because they're starting something. They are always starting something. You know what I mean? And we see the cardinal signs when we look at them in terms of a season. We see them the first month of each season. You know, so if you think about that just in terms of how seasons work, we have to get there, right? Like we have to start someplace. Then we have to have our fixed signs who hold the season, and then we have to have our mutable signs who get us ready to go to the next one. So that's what the cardinal signs act like, our starters.
They definitely are. I am a cardinal. I am a Cancer. Yeah, I can start something with the best of them. I can start something with the best of them. Yeah, lots of things started. Not completed. And I kind of want to move away from that. But I will say this. I'm grateful in the fact that every piece that has been started fits a whole. Every piece is a part of this whole mission that is mine. That is so clear for me now. So I'm grateful to have at least all the pieces finally starting. And I know that I'm going to come into this place of fruition for each of them to help the entire planet. Like, I'm so freaking excited about it. So now that we know the cardinal signs and that they work a little bit differently, they're going to be kind of leading from the front. They're going to initiate stuff, collaborate with people, try to get things going. Let's talk a little bit about the elements, because now because that's going to be the key to what drives what you eat. So we've got the earth, the air, the fire, the water. These different elements help govern the different signs, and they have a lot to do with the foods that you choose to eat.
Yeah, 100%. So, you know, with the qualities, we talked about the cardinal, the fixed, and the mutable. Well, we talked about cardinal, but there's also fixed and mutable. But really for tonight, I think it's important for us to understand the elements, because your element, more than anything, helps to govern that nutritional life, truly. And it's because it's your nature of how you're really doing things. So when we look at that, and we look at the fire signs, okay, the fire signs, their whole purpose really is to give us some flair. You know what I mean? Like, they are the vitality of all of the signs. They have the most vitality because they are moving, they are doing things. And our fire signs are Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So now what it's like for them when I'm looking at their constitution next to an earth sign, you know, the fire in our bodies naturally rules the function of internal combustion, digestion, burning up food, absorbing food, those kinds of things. Whereas an earth sign is not going to act that way, or an air sign is not going to have that kind of mode of moving around. Our earth signs are going to rule things like our skeletal system, the things that make us strong, that give us structure, because our earth signs are stayers, right? Like, they are steady, stable, they're holding it down, right? So they're going to govern the parts that hold it down for us, to include, because an earth sign will get rid of stuff eventually, and they are over the elimination systems as well. So, and reproduction. Ooh, earth signs are over reproduction. Yay.
Yes, you guys are.
I know.
Yes, you are. Before we move away, say a little something about them. Obviously, we think fire, spice, steaming, those kinds of things. So one would think that as a fire sign, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, you would think that you need things spicy to keep you spicy. Well, the reality of it is, if this is your sign, you actually need less of those things. So when you're looking at foods that are super spicy, when you're looking at things like, even things like dairy, sometimes dairy is not spicy, but it actually has the same kind of digestive things in it that would actually cause a little bit of disruption, even more so for those fire signs. So you want to make sure as a fire sign that you are actually trying to eat things that are a little more grounded, like your root vegetables, like your whole grains, like your sweet fruits, like peaches and things like that. You want to do some things to kind of combat the fire, so to speak, and ground you a little bit more. So those root vegetables, like your potatoes and things like that, turnips, things like that, carrots, those types of things are going to be the things that you need to turn to. And when you're prepping those things, you want to make sure that you're not using so much fire in the foods that you're prepping. So barbecue is probably not going to be your best bet. Things that are super, that require a lot of fire element to prepare, you want to either bring that down to moderation or completely cut it out altogether. Find other ways to prepare your food so that the energy is not changed by the fire that you're putting it on. But find other ways to have your food done or have your food created or made so that you're not adding more fire element. And this is just for the fire sign.
Yes. And the fire signs, just like any of the other signs, and I know we're going to talk about this, but we're at fire, so might as well do it now. With the fire signs, they can, because their bodies are naturally geared towards those higher temperatures, fire signs can come out of balance just like all the rest of them. So the only time, if you have excess fire, which what that would look like for a fire sign is that they have excessive overstimulation. They just feel like they can't calm down or come down. They feel like they're burnt out all the time. They're impatient. They're angry. They have hypertension where sometimes they didn't before, inflammation of their body. Some of the ways that you want to bring that excess fire back down are by getting those slow burning foods that Angie just talked about. Those roots, those root vegetables, those grains, chamomile, phenomenal. But fire signs can also take so much out of their diets that they suffer from low fire. And when you see a fire sign with low fire, they can't fight diseases. They're the burner offers of the system, and they're no longer able to do that. They're having problem with digestive absorption and things like that. And so then, and only then, do we really want to see fire signs eat things like yogurt, put things back in their diets like cayennes and mustards, because you want to bring it up. And the balance always shows in the action. It will always show in the action. So, those are things to keep in mind as we go forward too. We're going to tell you about the highs and lows of being you.
Nice. So let's move forward into the earth signs, right? Because we were getting kind of in the earthy signs now. So let's move forward into the earth signs. Tell us a little bit about how earth signs are, how they operate, and then we'll dive right into what they should be eating and things to avoid.
Okay, awesome. So our earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Now, these are the ones that possess steadiness, perseverance, endurance. These are the ones that hold it down. They do not have that vital spark that the fire signs have, and they don't have the vital movement that the air signs have. But we can't all be everything. We need people to hold it down, to ground it down. Okay, the Cardinals went on ahead and started a project. Well, who in the heck is going to get it done? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you what, for every Cardinal friend I have, they got like 3 earth signs, because we need each other. We have to go together. So when we look at this in the seasonal circle, the cardinals start it, then comes an earth sign to hold it, keep it sturdy, keep it steady, and hold it down so that it can maintain. So when we look at the earth signs and we look at their position inside of the body, it's really phenomenal to see that, like I said, they hold us down. They're our skeletal system. I want them, right? I enjoy standing up and such. I enjoy that there is structure to my body. They are also over reproductive things, repair tissue, right? That tissue that has to regenerate and be there to just kind of make sure we can keep doing what we're doing. So those are some of the things that the earth signs are about, and they help with inside of the body.
Yes, yes. And when we talk in terms of earth signs, just like you said, they're the steady kind of hold it down people. And when we think about that, think in terms of how the food would be for an earth sign. For somebody who's steady, for somebody, you're gonna have to add a little bit more spice to it. So earth signs naturally gravitate towards the things that make them feel steady. A lot of them gravitate towards very, very heavy foods. A lot of them gravitate towards root vegetables like carrots and potatoes. Earth signs love the winter a lot of times. They love the winter because they like the rich, hearty dishes in a lot of cases, really saucy stuff. But what has to happen is they have to come away from those things. Now, you have to make sure that you're eating for the season always. So your foods are going to be a little bit heavier in the wintertime, depending on where you live in the world, because some people live in an endless summer, which I wish I lived in. But some people live in an endless summer, and so your diet is just going to be a lot lighter year round. But if you live in the States or you live somewhere where, it's mostly cold, or you have a distinct spring, summer, winter, or fall, you want to make sure that you're following things to eat for the seasons. And a lot of people sometimes, they don't want to do this because in the wintertime, they don't want to see their weight go up a little bit. They like to see it come down in the summer when they start eating fresh, but they don't like to see it rise in the winter. We've got to get used to seeing that. We've got to get used to saying, okay, in the wintertime, I'm going to be 5 to 10 pounds a little bit heavier because I know in the summertime, this thing is going to come down for me. And once you start eating for the seasons, you'll be able to see that distinct difference, and you'll be okay with a little bit of rise. Now, for earth signs, you want to make sure that, yes, you're eating your root vegetables because they're very, very healthy for you, but you want to start adding some spice to them. Other things in your diet too, like zesty things. So like citrus fruit is a big deal for earth signs. You want to make sure you're getting some of those in. Make sure that you're adding the lemons to your water. You're adding the oranges to your water, the limes. Make sure you're adding those different things, the grapefruit to your diet. These are the different things that are going to help you kind of kick it up a little bit. Add a little bit more spice to your thing, but don't overdo it with the heavy sauces. Definitely don't overdo it with heavy things in the summertime. Be sure to lighten things up. Be sure to start getting those fresh greens and things in to kind of lighten up that whole earthy mood a little bit.
Absolutely. And, the other thing to consider about keeping these things light is that for earth signs, they tend to have weight problems, or these are our thicker bodied signs. They tend to have glandular disorders and things like that. And it's brought on by the food choices that they make because they do like that heavy kind of stuff. And what they don't often like to do with it, and is, of course, mitigated by other things in the chart, but they don't like to work out. Right? Like your earth signs are not heavy movers, and we all really have to sometimes be very grateful for that, because what would you do if a mountain just decided to move? You'd be screwed, wouldn't you? So we have to give them a space to be as light as they can be. Now, earth signs also can have excess earth from eating too much of that stuff, which they do often enough. You're an earth sign, you've done it. And what it looks like is heaviness in the body. They feel sluggish. They feel like they can't get up. That metabolism is slow. Another huge thing for earth signs when they have excess earth is their skin will become thick. Like they can run their hands and feel it, right? They have increased body hair, which is not sexy. So, you know what I'm saying? So things like exactly like Angie talked about, salads, steamed vegetables, getting a little bit of ginger, cayenne, black pepper in there is absolutely phenomenal. Now, when earth signs have low earth and they need to reground, what it usually looks like to them is that they feel insecure. Like they feel like their sense of security is just not there. They feel like they need more sleep. You know what I mean? Like they feel like they can't do it. They just can't go out and face the world. And so for that, we want to bring the earth back up. We want to do some meat. We want to do some potatoes, or we want to do some heavier things. We really, with earth signs, when they have low earth, a phenomenal thing is to do cheeses, butters, and oils. But my
something a little bit more fluid. Yes.
Absolutely. So that's a little bit what that's like.
Yeah, definitely. That's such amazing information. And one last thing I want to say too about the earth signs is that when earth signs, like you said, they're very, very steady. Like all of the Capricorns I know, all of the Tauruses I know, the fixed signs, they are very, very steady and loyal to whatever it is they've got going on. And so it can be, especially for the fixed signs, it can be very, very difficult for them to move from one thing to the next and make these changes. But one of the things I always say is that if they ever get on just the path that leads to just their greatness, they are set for life because they're so loyal to that cause, and it just breeds more and more of that. So it's very, very important for them, especially, to do what it takes to get and stay well. Because if they're ever on the path that makes them ill, or that brings them down to a lower vibration, it can be very, very treacherous, very, very difficult for them to begin to raise that energy back up. So definitely, if you're listening to this and you're an earth sign, you want to make sure you get on top of your diet. Do what you can where you are with what you have. Don't try to reinvent the wheel coming right out the gate. If your metabolism is slow, if you've been eating very, very heavy foods, start where you are. And the summertime is an amazing time to start. Getting more zest in your diet. Adding more water is an amazing way to kind of stride out and do this thing. Make it a point to not drink any calories if you can. You know, some people like alcohol, but make it a point not to drink any calories. Zest it up with fruits and and herbs and things like that in your water to make it really, really fun for you. So yeah, awesome. So let's move on into the water signs. Water sign, Cancer.
Well, we love our water signs. I mean, we love them all, but we love our water signs. You know what I mean? They are responding to information and to stimuli that really come from the unconscious. I mean, they're deeply emotional. They are ruled by water. You know what I mean? You have to think they move like water. They're more changeable. They're more emotionally reactive to things, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so our water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So if you're one of those signs, then woot woot for you. You know what I'm saying? Now, the water elements also take part in ruling over the reproductive system, the lymphatic system, and body fluids, and that includes all of the fluids, the lymph, the mucus, the blood, water, lubricants, all of that kind of stuff. They're flushing and they're cooling the body, right? And they are exceptionally sensitive to their environment, especially, and you can watch it, water signs with people are particularly sensitive to them. Fungus, bacteria, viruses, whether they be people or actually inside of the body, water signs are very much so responding to them because they have such a strong emotional component. Now, water signs also very easily pick up on negativity, okay? And so they can be broody about their health and things. They can be like, oh my gosh, I feel so negative. It's so much worse than they are. And then it takes on an even bigger life of their own. And it will start to recur in different cycles. They can usually see or feel the cycle coming. That's actually one of the things I think is a benefit to being a water sign, because you know the cycle will return and you can improve it, which is a really cool kind of deal.
Yes. Yes. Now I'm popping into the Facebook group, and Dina asked the question, what should Capricorns eat? Now, Dina, I just saw your question, but we just also went through the earth signs and what they should eat. You know, Capricorn is an earth sign. So I want you to pop back into the Facebook fan page and let me know if we answered your question. If we didn't, we'll be glad to go back over it for you. Now, when we're talking about the water signs, like you said, very, very emotional. So we want to make sure that we're not eating things that are going to change our emotions. Things that do that are things that are fluid, right? So some of the top two things that are going to change your emotions, we're talking about not Capricorn, but Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. You want to make sure you're staying away from oily foods. You want to make sure you're staying away from this whole fluid thing, right? You want to make sure you're staying away from things like sugary sweets that will spike your emotion and make you bounce off the wall. Caffeine is another one that you're going to be extremely sensitive to. So choose your teas wisely. As long as a tea is giving you something back, like a green tea or chamomile or an Earl Grey tea or something that you're using, especially if you're like me and you fast often. Like I'm a perpetual faster. I fast until 1 o'clock every day. and it's just a part of my lifestyle as a vegan. But one of the things that you want to be aware of is where you position the caffeine so that you get the greatest effect from it, and that it's not spiking your emotions as a water sign. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that. You want to make sure that you're not only positioning things correctly, but that you're adding the right things into your diet. Stay away from the oily foods. Stay away from the things that you can spread, pour. Like, really be cautious of those things. The oily dressings. Always make your marinades and dressings and things like that from scratch if you can. Because you can control the sugar in it, you can control the salt in it, and you can control the amount of oil you put in it as well. So you want to make sure you're looking at those things. You also want to make sure that you're getting some good fats in your diet, because a lot of the fats are pourable. So you want to make sure that you're looking at things like fishes for your omega-3. Coconut and coconut products. So you want to make sure that you are replacing those fats in your diet. And if you're not going to actually replace those through food, be sure that you properly supplement so that your joints aren't drying out, and that you're not getting like this popping and this clicking, because your joints will dry out. You want to make sure that you're kind of watching your entire body, because we're talking about, you know, being well long term, and the last thing you want is stiff joints as you age. Okay, so make sure that you're kind of watching that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when we look at the water signs and we see, okay, I am a water sign, and here's some things that are going on with me that may indicate that I have excess water, which means I have too much of one kind of food that's creating too much watery space for me. What that tends to look like is sluggish digestion. They have poor assimilation. They really don't like being around other people. The metabolism gets super slow. Here's the other thing that I always think is scary about water signs having too much water, is because you can have stagnant excess water that may manifest and sit in the body, and it manifests as mucus, as cysts, as tumors, as swellings. Candida is a big one here. And it can also manifest as weight problems, of course. So when we see somebody who's struggling with something like this, a water sign, the change is going to be to remedy that with foods that are hot, dry, and light. So phenomenal things are beans. Beans are so good if there's excess water. And parsley, garlic, sage, phenomenal ones if you're dealing with an excess water situation. Now, on the other side, when a water sign has low water, they have problems flushing toxins from their system. They lack lubrication. And ladies, let me tell you what, if you are a water sign, you know what I'm talking about when I say lack lubrication in your body, because you can feel it in every orifice. I work with a lot of cancer women who, when they get into low water, we start having a different kind of conversation. You know what I mean? And like Angie said, if you're stiff, you're dehydrated, you have difficulty sleeping, you start to suffer from your hair's dry, your skin's dry, things like that. So the remedy, you know, the low water, we want to take baths. We want to drink a lot of fluids, get out of extreme exposure to sunlight and things like that are sucking your water out. Eat things like wheats, oats, rice, honey, fruit juices are phenomenal if you're trying to bring that water back up.
Yep, you definitely, as a water sign, you want to make sure that you are staying hydrated, right? You never want to be on the end of not having enough water. I've actually been like that, and I have suffered from digestive issues. I've suffered from, you know, mucous membranes where it feels like the back of my throat is literally stuck together. It's so dry, and you don't ever want to get to that place. And believe it or not, a large number of people, women especially, are very, very dry, and that causes reproductive issues. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Like you're dry everywhere. Okay. So let's be clear about that, okay? So you know, you don't want to get to that point that you're restoring things in your body. You want to make sure that you're doing that on a regular basis, not just when the occasion calls for it or when you think of it. Begin to get a ritual in place. One of the things I like to teach people is the ritual, the 4 W's: wake, worship, water, and work out. These are the 4 things that should always rule the beginning of your day. If you have to get up earlier to start hydrating early, get up and do that because it's worth it in the long term for your wellness. So yeah. So let's move on to the last group of signs. Oh, this is almost over, Palmer. This is awesome.
Well, and we love the air signs. They're the last, but of course not the least for tonight. Yes. So there's our Geminis, our Libras, and our Aquarians. And these are actually the second most vital of the elements, and they react a lot to external stimuli, right? Like they are fascinated by it. Like they need to be mentally kept a lot. You know what I mean? So when we're watching the air signs work and be themselves, it's really a phenomenal thing, I think, to watch how energetically in a mental space they work. They're thinkers. They're social. They're always ready for a new relationship or friendship. They love learning, but they get bored easy. You know, they just have this intellectual curiosity that's absolutely phenomenal. So, and then we say, okay, that's what they act like, but what do they look like in the body? Well, they look like our social systems, the nervous system, the circulatory system, the function of moving, right? Like I like that. Urination, pretty important. Breathing. I like all of these social interactions that they govern over. So our air people are very easily stimulated. So with quick and extremely sensitive minds that are easily thrown out of balance, it's easy to see how they could be overwhelmed and take a diet out of balance very, very easily.
And right off the bat, if you're an air sign, you need to come down on the alcohol. Things that are anything that is a stimulus that will cause you to react or think differently in a situation, you want to bring that down to moderation in your life. So things like alcohol, things like coffees, things like that, where you know that when you drink it, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to act.
Yes.
Nobody's going to want to be your designated driver, okay? Like you're dangerous drunk, okay? So you want to make sure that if that is you, that you're coming down off of those things, because just look at it like this, your life of the party without needing those things, right? Think of it in terms of that. You want to make sure that you're getting things in your diet like apples, like lettuce, like fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, things that will begin to kind of calm and settle your mood a little bit so that you're not so volatile when it comes to different situations.
Absolutely. Well, and you know what's so funny about it is this tends to be one of the groups that really likes Red Bull, because they can handle that mental stimulation for so long, and then they're like, you know, but it's so funny because it's really not very good for them. But so then we look at it and it's like, okay, you've had your 75 Red Bulls today. What does it look like for an air sign to have excess air? Well, of course, they're overactive, they're restless, their sensitive minds are nervous, their exhaustion system feels like, oh my gosh, it feels like I can't breathe, or I'm breathing too fast, my hair's dry, my skin's dry, my membranes are dry, I have insomnia, I have memory loss. Happens here all the time, which is a big deal for them because they are our mind signs, right? So when we're in excess, what they benefit from is scheduled specific times to be quiet with minimal stimulation. It's a beautiful time for them to eat because they can eat and think about what they're eating and participate in it. They can bring their nervous system into a sense of balance and recharge so that while they're having their nuts and their croutons and their lightly steamed vegetables to decrease some of that excess air, they can actually enjoy it as well. Now, when an air sign has low air, oh my gosh, there's just a difficulty of flow of energy through the body. It's like their nervous system is weakened. Some of these people, if you touch them, it's just an overwhelming experience for them. And they need a lot of mineral support, such as calcium, magnesium, things like that, and circulatory stimulants. So for them, eating plenty of raw fruits, raw vegetables, sprouts, oats, things like that, teas or tinctures, things like that would really help that weak nervous system and that low air that's in there. I really think for this, for low air, dandelion root is phenomenal, and a little bit of cayenne if they can handle that as well. It's a really good tea for them, and it just kind of helps to raise that a little bit.
Yeah. And one of the things I think they would also benefit from too, especially when you're talking in terms of the minerals to help to quickly reabsorb them, would be what is called an ascension bath. And basically what that is, it's a bath with half a pound of baking soda and half a pound of either sea salt or Epsom salt. And you can either make this mix yourself, or you can put the things in the tub separately. Another thing that you can use is bentonite clay. Now you can either get bentonite clay that's calcium form, or you can get bentonite clay that's magnesium form. But whichever form you get, that mineral will quickly be absorbed as you soak into that bath. Now, these baths like these tend to really get your circulation going. And if it's something that you've never done before, you want to make sure that you don't have any cardiovascular issues or different things like that, because there will be different types of shifts, of fluid shifts in your body. And you will begin to kind of absorb these minerals in, which calcium and magnesium, these things actually work on your heart. So you don't want to be taking cardiovascular or blood pressure medications in addition to doing these baths, because these things are going to get absorbed. So you want, but it's a great way to start to get these things reabsorbed instead of taking it in pill form and things like that. Now, a bath like this will also help to truly reset your energy, help to bring your vibration up a lot quicker, help you to, especially if you set an intention before the bath. You kind of really make it a ritual for yourself. These baths, I actually do these baths every other day, believe it or not. I do a lot of baths because I just love baths. I'm a bath fanatic. But you want to make sure that you're getting these things in. And one of the reasons is because I'm vegan, so I've got to get stuff in. It's important for me to get the absorption. There's just a lot of things that I don't eat. So it's important for me to be able to get my minerals in. And it's important for me that if I'm going to take a supplement or do something, it's got to work, because I'm not getting it in any other form, right? So it's got to work for me. So that's one of the ways that I help to replace my calcium, so my joints aren't all jacked up when I get old, because I'm going to get old. Chronologically though, remember I said that, chronologically only.
Chronologically only. I support the vision.
You see me 40 years from now, you're going to be like, wow, she still looks the same. That's insane. Okay? So just, right. So just make sure that as you do these baths, you're actually, you're getting what you need in them. A word on bentonite clay, it actually does expire. So when you buy it, if you buy it in a large amount, be sure that you're using it often and that you're actually using it up, okay? So it doesn't go bad. It's pretty expensive. You can get it on Amazon. So now, Stormy, this has been awesome, you guys. So we've covered all the signs, right? We've covered everything that you need to know. I really want you to start getting more astrology in your regular daily life. Start looking at your readings. It's more than just a quick relationship blurb. It's more than that. And we actually are going to come back and do one on relationships and sex and sexuality, because there is something about sex. You need it in your life. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, okay? But there are some powerful things when it comes to sex and sexuality that we miss. And it is critical to us knowing what our purpose is and being able to walk in that purpose powerfully. So we are going to come back and we are going to do that broadcast. I don't know when we're going to do that, but be on the lookout for it to be a part of a Wellness Wednesday, which is what it's going to end up being a part of. So now, Stormy, tell everybody, this is over now. Like, I almost want another hour of this. This is phenomenal, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that whenever these happen, the conversation gets going and it's very good and you get into it, you're getting questions you didn't even know you had answered, and it's also just a lot of fun. But I want to invite anybody who has been out there, who's been on the call, to spend another hour with me. I have a special going on, and it's specifically for this broadcast. So you can do 60 minutes with me for $35. We're going to jump in. We can look at the chart. We can talk about your food. We can just analyze your chart. So if you don't fully understand that, we can take a look at that. And here's the cool deal. I have only opened up a limited amount of spaces for this appointment. So if you want it, you got to hop in there and grab it. We'll be posting the link so that you can go right there and get them. And when they're gone, and that's going to be the end of it. But it's a phenomenal hour to spend getting some insight on you, right? Because we're not going to talk about me for an hour. We're going to talk about what's up with you and how you can do you even better. And sometimes I think that I find when I sit with people, I watch the way they're making decisions about what they're eating, and it tells me exactly why they're having problems with their coworkers and exactly why they're feeling indecisive about moving towards that new job. So, I mean, we really can uncover a lot. We can do it in 30 minutes. So you're getting 60, so you're going to leave sparkling like, here I am.
Yes. And let me tell you something about these readings with Stormy. Okay. I actually did a reading with Stormy. I had been following her for quite some time. And I went ahead and booked, I saw where she was doing like this flash, like she's doing now, right? And I was like, oh, I like her. Let me jump on this. I like her energy. I like her. She's awesome. Just in the few minutes that I was able to speak with her, so many things were made profoundly clear for me. And I could literally take the next moment that day and realign myself and move towards the direction. Now, the result of moving into that direction, because it's not just about you getting with her and getting the information, understanding it, but then it is also about you taking the inspired action that comes as a result of it. So as a result of me taking inspired action towards the information that Stormy gave me, right? And she didn't give me the answer I was looking for, but she was right, okay? And I trusted it, okay? And so as a result of following that, so many more opportunities and doors opened up for me within like 24 to 48 hours. So it's about going from being on the fence to being global, okay? So that literally is what it was about for me. It was about, do I need to take this distraction or do I need to do X, Y, Z? And I want to take the distraction. He said no, right? Or Stormy didn't give me anything that made me want to jump on the distraction. And as a result of not taking it, my life, a matter of an inbox message that came in, changed my life. So it really is about you not just staying the course, but making sure that you've got the tools in front of you to be able to make the best decision possible for you and then take action from the information that you get. So let me tell you something. An hour is more than worth it. Like I charge y'all way more than that. Like I gotta be honest with you.
Well, I do charge way more than that, but this is for y'all who showed up tonight.
So I highly suggest you jump on this. So Stormy, tell them what the link is and how they can get a hold of this, because I'm telling you guys, this piece changed my life. And I know a lot of you guys on here, if you're not already following me on social media, you begin to follow me and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, she leaked. Like she's not even the same person anymore. And I'm going to tell you something, a big piece of it came from this reading that I had with her, wanting to go left and she told me to go right, or she just said, don't go left, right? Not go that way, but it ain't not over there. Don't go over there. I don't know what you're gonna do, but don't go that way, okay? Yeah. So just from that piece. So Stormy, tell them how they can get a hold of you and where they can find this link and how they can take advantage of this before all these spots are gone.
Yeah, absolutely. So immediately when this broadcast is over, I am going to post the link underneath where you guys are commenting on my Facebook page. I'm going to put it there. They're there until they are filled out, and those are just for y'all. I'm not going to post it at the top where it goes and shares to everybody right away. These first spots are open just for you. So make sure you go ahead and go there and grab them. And I am not going to be posting them on my YouTube. I'm not posting these spots on my Twitter or anything else like that. So these are very specific spots that are built for the people who showed up tonight, because I think that there's a message they maybe need to hear. So they're yours to grab. Woo,
and if you did not know, you guys, Stormy has over 20,000 YouTube followers. So please understand, if you don't grab those, there are at least 20,000 other people that want them. So please understand that You know, she usually offers this at a much higher price. So you definitely want to grab this, because I am telling you, I am a Cancer. I am a cardinal sign. I am very specific about the things that I do. If I feel like something is of high risk to me, I do whatever is necessary to lessen that risk before I make the decision. My decisions are always informed. Everything is strategic. Every word, everything, from what I chose to wear tonight, everything is strategic. The fact that my stone has changed, everything is strategic about me, okay? That my hair is not in cornrows anymore, right? Everything is strategic, okay? There is a reason, okay? And so for me to step out and, you know, and actually solicit or get this information from her to say, well, I want your help, because I'm typically like, look, I'm the self-starter. I don't really need your help. I'm gonna figure this thing out, right? Yeah. But I was at a crossroads in my life, and I really needed just somebody to tell me yes, no, maybe so. And I swear to you, just in just a matter of the first 5 to 10 minutes, she gave me the information that I needed to change my life. And I stayed the course, even though I felt like I was losing something. I stayed the course. I stayed positive. I did what she told me to do, and voila, it came right on in. It came full circle for me, and so many things are changing as a result. I remember I was standing in my kitchen just the other day, and I was like, been so happy. Like, I've never been so in such a place of bliss, not because of what I have, right? Or not because of what has been given to me or what has been shown to me, but because I understand now. Right. And astrology is what helps give me that understanding. It's because it's not because, oh, I have everything, or I have, listen, my house is almost 10,000 square feet on 4 acres, okay? I live in a private estate. It is not because of what I have, right? And you can't always look at what people have and what's going on and things like that, because you just never know their full story, right? Absolutely. So it really is about understanding every piece of my life and how things have come together for me, right? So when I tell you that this 5 minutes or this 10 minutes or whatever it is, life, I can't imagine the immense and profound clarity that you will have as a result of 60 minutes. I highly suggest you grab a spot.
Absolutely. And the thing is about sitting with me is that you get 3 things from me every single time, no matter how long the appointment is. We're going to look at maybe what's troubling you or what is on your mind. So we're going to look at the issue. Then we're going to get to the solution. I'll tell you what the solution is, because it's usually pretty straightforward in spiritual terms. But then I'm going to give you a practical set of actions that you can take immediately to start to outgrow it. Because the thing is, with fear and with indecision, the moment we crack that door of willingness open, we immediately commence to outgrow fear. And if you are immediately getting ready to grow into faith, you have some actions to go with you that will immediately change your moment, just like Angie talked about. And that is one of the most magical things that I know that I offer in my sessions, because that's how I live my life and take my guidance from my spiritual teacher. That's another thing. I am an astrologer who has an astrologer. The healer has to have a healer, or we become ineffective. So I know when I sit with you that the problem, the solution, and a practical program of action is exactly what you're going to get and what you need to be able to walk out and to start doing your deal. So I'm going to give you that every single time.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So you'll be able to have all these pieces or whatever to make sure that you're moving forward in your life as strategic as possible without, you know, being distracted. Because let me tell you something. Easiest thing in the world is to be distracted, man. It doesn't take anything to be a loser. So you really want to be something great. You really want to understand your purpose and things like that, and understand where you are and where you're going, because that's how you get started. Reach out to Stormy. How can they find you on social media? Now, if you're not already, I'm going to say this. If you're not already on the Stormy Grace Facebook fan page, that is where we have been having a conversation all night. And actually, people kind of just found a place and they started posting things right under her last post before she got on live with me tonight. So people have just been kind of putting comments and things under there. So we're going to go on this fan page. This broadcast is about to end in about 5 minutes. So after that, she and I will still be live on the Facebook fan page, answering questions, making sure everybody has everything they need. And I see a lot more people kind of joined us at the end. So if you missed the replay, don't worry. You're going to get an email from me, or you may get a text, or even a phone call from one of us saying, hey, here's how you catch the replay. And if you're watching Facebook tomorrow, you may be able to scroll up your screen and see this whole thing live once again. So definitely keep your eyes peeled, but at the very least, if we've got your information, you'll get the replay, because I see a bunch more people kind of joined here over halfway through. So you missed quite a bit of amazing information. So Stormy, tell us how we can get in touch with you.
Well, you can always go to my website, stormygrace.com, and there is, if you look through it, it says contact. Just contact me there. Send the email. I can definitely get back to you from there. Another place to find me all the time, like every 5 minutes, is on YouTube, and you are welcome to subscribe, yes, please, and leave messages underneath the video. I mean, don't leave me your life story, because we really need to pull a chart and look into that personally, but that's a good way to find me. I'm on Twitter, StormyGrace08 is my handle. You can head over and check me out on Patreon, support the work that I'm doing, support other people who are doing work with Patreon. And of course, on Facebook, the Facebook page is Stormy Grace as well, and I'm hanging out there. I even have a Pinterest now. I think I have like 2 things pinned, maybe more, but I'm on Pinterest as well, so pin my face on your joy board. So there's lots of ways to find me.
Awesome. So definitely get in touch with Stormy. If you're interested in the $35 for the 1 hour reading or 1 hour session with her privately, definitely go to the Facebook fan page of Stormy Grace. We're gonna pop that link right down there. And remember, space is limited. So once these are gone, they're gone. And I highly suggest that you get one of them. Thanks again for joining us. Again, we had Stormy Grace, the amazing YouTube sensation and astrologer. And I have been your host, Angie K, Queen of Wellness. I do hope that you'll join us again for the next broadcast. Remember, we are going to be moving these broadcasts to the lunch hour on every Wednesday. So it's going to move to become a Wellness Wednesday. You can either watch my timeline, or you can join me in the Diva Wellness Movement Facebook group to be able to get those broadcasts as they come up. I have quite a few people lined up for the rest of the year. Something for men, something for women, but something for everybody. Moms that are trying to bounce back, we're going to dig into that and answer some of those awesome questions. So we got quite a few things coming up for you, but the one thing that is going to be coming up is how you can be sustainably well no matter who you are on this planet. So thank you so much, Stormy Grace, for sharing time and space with us tonight. And thank you for delivering such life-changing information. Again, we're going to continue this conversation on the Stormy Grace Facebook fan page. Thanks for joining us. Good night, y'all.